Karrine Jean-Pierre, the press secretary for Joe Biden, right? She decided to now leave the Democratic Party and be an independent. She's coming out with the book in October. The title is Independent, a look inside a broken White House, outside the party lines. Now, I don't know if you guys are surprised. I'm not really surprised that this is happening. What's happening now with the Democratic Party is that, the truth is hard to run from, and unfortunately, Joe Biden's whole legacy is just getting worse and worse and worse. But I think it's crazy how 1 year makes a big difference. If Joe Biden had decided if he decided just from the beginning not to run against Donald Trump, I think his legacy would have been cool. He'd have had his one term, been out of here, grand opening, grand closing. Whether you agree with what happened during his term or not, it doesn't matter. I think his legacy would have been fine. He'd have been gone. Trump is president now. Biden should be in the rearview mirror. But what's happening post this election, his legacy's been getting torn apart. And I think it's been getting torn apart simply because, not because people are tearing it up, it's because the truth is coming out, right? So Karrine Jean-Pierre, she was the first Black female press secretary. And, great, all good. But the problem is now her credibility is looking crazy because, you got to remember, we're not even a year ago. I'm going to play this video. Not even a year ago, she was talking about how sharp Joe Biden was, and the press was already on to it. Long before the average American saw the debate between Donald Trump and Joe Biden, the press was already asking her these questions. And let me play this video real quick.
Given the reporting in the New York Times and other outlets about the president's more frequent lapses, losing his train of thought, all of us saw what happened on Thursday, where he simply could not form coherent answers to many or some, if you will, of the questions, and appeared to lapse into nonsensical answers at the end. We beat Medicare, for instance. I'm going to ask something delicate, and you may not like it. The president may not like to hear it if he's watching, but I think the American people need to get a yes or no answer on this. Does President Biden, at 81 years old, have Alzheimer's, any form of dementia, or degenerative illness that cause these sorts of lapses? And it's a yes or no question. And if you don't know, why don't you, as one of his senior staff members, know?
I have an answer for you. Are you ready for it?
Yes.
It's a no. And I hope you're asking the other guy the same exact question.
So keep in mind, that was a very basic question. He just asked her straight up, does he have Alzheimer's? And, she just said, no, I hope you're asking asking the other guy that question, meaning Donald Trump. Now, there really wasn't a reason to ask Donald Trump that question because Donald Trump was not showing signs of cognitive decline, So this is something that, again, I'm not really surprised at what's going on now. So she's writing this book. Now, this book, Outside Party Lines, she's basically saying that, the political landscape has got too partisan. And this whole two-party system, she doesn't want to be part of anymore. She wants to be an independent. And what it looks like is that you're jumping off a ship that's completely sinking. The Democratic Party has been completely sinking. And she is basically trying to run away from it now and become an independent. She talked about Joe Biden being sharp as a tack, and he runs circles around her sometimes cognitively. And it's just like, come on, we got to be honest with ourselves. So what's happened now is that the Democratic Party, everybody's come out. People are writing books. There's tell-alls. She's another tell-all. She might have been the third tell-all now since the election about the inside of the campaign. And they're really not telling us anything we didn't already know. The first gentleman who wrote the book, I can't think of his name, but at this moment, but he talked about, initially how Barack Obama didn't believe in Kamala Harris, and the Obamas didn't want to endorse her, and so on and so on. People are so aware, even if you're not paying attention to politics day in, day out. Political stuff is all in your face all day, every day. And people can see the truth. Even when they're not tapped in, they can see something that's obvious in their peripheral. So the fact that she's going to come out with a book now in October, we already know the book has been written already because publishers typically want the book 3 months in advance, right? So the book is already written. We're in June now. And you'd have to say that she's been working on the book then, I don't know, March, February, maybe before that. Maybe she had the book ready. I think this move to go independent was planned a while ago because she sees how bad things are crumbling apart. And we're still in this place where the Democratic Party still needs to, they have so many issues. They need to, how are we going to appeal to the male vote, right? How are we going to exalt a leader to really go against whoever's going to run in 2028? And I think that being honest is one of the biggest things that's going to be needed. And you'll see it's going to get worse before it gets better, because what Biden did up to the very end to rerun, I think just that 6 to 12 months before the election is so damaging to that party. And in her book, she's going to talk about how the Democratic Party betrayed Joe Biden and so on. And it's not really a betrayal. It's the problem is you guys had a problem that you weren't willing to deal with. And you thought we were going to just focus on how much we don't like Donald Trump and then not focus on what's really going on with the party. The collateral damage has been now. So we see that Barack Obama's his luster has faded. You know, and I'm not going to go into all what he did, but his talking to black men in Philadelphia was dangerous. Michelle Obama's post podcast, I don't think has helped their legacy. I talked about that before. Look, at the end of the day, the Democratic and Republican parties, the two main parties. Yeah, I get Karrine's point. Yeah, people are getting tired of the two-party system. Is she somebody who's really that person who's tired of the system? I don't think so. I think she just realized that she was part of a team and she don't want to be part of that gang no more. She been banging blue for all this time, but she don't want to be part of it anymore. And is it genuine? So from what I heard, I was talking to my wife about this earlier. They were saying that that Karrine wanted to be part of the View. And I said, you know, it makes sense because the View is not going to take on Karrine because look, the View, all they push is hard left Democratic ideals. So you can't have somebody on there who has just left that gang. Now, if Karrine had decided to wait a couple of years and then decide, okay, I want to be an independent now, yeah, maybe a Democratic show like that who's far left would say, okay, we're going to bring somebody else in who has a different point of view, and just to balance off, you know, what we have to talk about. But it's not going to work because she's essentially looks like a turncoat now. So she's now screwed because if she couldn't tell the truth then, her telling the truth right now is not a good look because she should have just fell back and chilled. So it is what it is.